Earlier this week, I saw a statue of Atlas, right, from ancient mythology. And it made me think through some things about the story of Jesus testing in the wilderness. But, Atlas, he was that Titan who, when defeated, his punishment was to stand at the edge of the world and hold all the celestial spheres on his shoulders. So often we make a little mistake in the story and say, oh, he was supposed to hold the earth. Well, everything. Hold all the celestial spheres and orbs. Interesting sight. You see that statue of Atlas all over. It's kind of one of those things where we've gained that expression. Well, that person looks like they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Right? And often we might say that about someone, and it means they're kind of glum. They're carrying the weight of the world, kind of like Eeyore or something like that, right? Well, it's interesting. None of us can carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And I think Atlas has been intriguing for these thousands of years because we try regularly to carry the weight of the world on our own shoulders. And I would guess that there's more than one of us here this morning that feels like we're carrying the weight of the world. The good news is, not only can we not carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, we don't have to. We don't have to. Jesus is the one who came to carry that weight for us. We get to this interesting story always, Jesus being tested or tempted in the wilderness. And it's very interesting to note. He was filled with the Holy Spirit, and then not only that, it's the Spirit that led him into the wilderness in order to be tested or tempted. Here, we wonder, well, why did he have to go through this? Why did he have to be tempted and starved for 40 days? Well, here Jesus, in all this humanity, he's leaning into his divinity. He's facing all these human temptations, and yet divinity shines through. Right? All those human temptations, just all those base desires we have of physical stuff, power, adoration. He's doing this not to present an example for us of how to resist temptation. Although I think, we'd probably do well to heed that a little more often and resist temptation a little bit. After Christmas, I was certain if it's true, you are what you eat, I was going to turn into a big blob of chocolate. We could resist temptation a little bit. But that's not what he's doing. He is about what he's doing. Jesus arrives on this earth in order to do it for us. He's the only one who can carry the weight of the world and the entire cosmos on his shoulders. Now, we want to be able to resist temptation, right? Think of all the baptisms we have over here regularly. You're going to love this. In our service, did you realize every time that we have a baptism, we perform an exorcism? It's freaky, isn't it? It's kind of like green pea soup spewing all over and all that kind of stuff. But it's that threefold thing that is casting out this stuff of the devil. Things that we are against in this world. We say, do you renounce the devil and all the forces that defy God? Do you renounce the powers of this world that rebel against God? Do you renounce the ways of sin that turn you from God? And we're not for those things. In fact, if we were left on our own, we have no chance. But we lean into the promise of Christ who does it for us. We can't do it alone. We read through the temptation stories, and sometimes you go, what is this devil saying to Jesus and all this kind of stuff? But we have to remember that the devil, the diabolical one, is a liar. Always. Always twisting truths for selfish power, control. Always trying this attempt to get us to believe that we're on our own, or that we can do everything on our own. Jesus is the only one who can carry this weight of the world on his shoulders. It got me to wondering for a while, well, where does evil, or where does the devil exist today? I started thinking about some different things. You look around the world and go, wow. And I have been wondering, and I think it's probably true, I think there's a strong possibility that the devil exists in TikTok. I'm fairly certain of that. I've experienced it. The last time I tried to do anything on TikTok, I ended up flat on my back for a full week. It's wrong, right? That's way funnier than you're letting on. I've also experienced this, and you may have too. I am quite certain that evil and the devil exists in IKEA and every other DIY furniture company ever, right? They are the spawn of Satan. The idea for it was concocted in the bowels of hell somewhere. I'm certain of it, right? They're like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send them all this stuff in a little box. Give them an Allen wrench. See what they can do with it. Make them bring their own screwdriver. And then let's put all the instructions in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. That will really torment these stylish but economical-minded people. That kind of thing. I know. But it's around us. It exists. How about the world stage? The recent actions of the Russian Federation and Vladimir Putin moving on the Ukraine is nothing but earthly, selfish power at the expense of God's children who are dying. Pure, unmitigated evil. Got to be stopped. I have no idea how. I don't know how. But this kind of stuff cannot exist in God's world. Been doing a lot of reading in the last couple of months, right? I had a full week on my back because of TikTok. One that I read was a history piece called "In the Garden of Beasts," and it chronicles the first year of the United States ambassador to Germany, 1933, William Dodd. He arrived in July of 33, just months after the Nazi regime took power. And he went in pretty optimistic, saying, I think we can work with these Nazis, right? We can trade with them, we can do all that. And the atrocities that they were hearing about, well, that can't really occur, can it? It can't really be happening that way. And he went in very open to a lot of different things. Well, within that first year, he saw exactly what was going on in Nazi Germany. And he sent warnings, very pointed warnings to the State Department, to President Roosevelt. No one lifted a finger. I mean, I was astonished by so many different things from his correspondence and that of others. One was the incredible anti-Semitism that existed in this country at that time. I don't know what that means for today. I don't know what the world is supposed to do. But I do know that that saying is true, that all it takes for evil to exist is for good people to do nothing. I don't know what that means on the big scale. I don't know. So it's pushed me to think, well, what is the church's role? What do we do as God's people gathered here? Well, last week we heard Pastor Bill tell us very, very clearly that the first thing that we have to do when anything like this happens is hit your knees. Pray, 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 pray. I'm also wondering if that can guide and lead God's people across the world to take on the active role of being peacemakers within our spheres of influence and with our families and friends and communities. To be peacemakers acting in love. I wonder if it really means for all of us to continue reminding each other to turn our will and our ways over to the will and the way of the one who does carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. Maybe that's where we begin. How about a little more personal level? We do try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. All right? We try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders in our grudges and resentments that we hang on to like a security blanket that we think is going to cuddle us and keep us warm at night. And it just busts up relationships. We try to carry the weight of the world in our weariness, right? People are tired of these last couple of years in so many ways. And sometimes it's dealt with in very unhealthy ways, and we tell each other, oh, no, or we try to tell ourselves too, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just fine. When we're dying inside. We try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders in all of our brokenness. We try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders when we have these past sins that we just can't let go. Even though Jesus already has. Jesus is the only one who can carry these weights for us. We have all these things churning inside of us. I told you I did a lot of reading. The other one that I read last week, because I was interested, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't think I've read that in 40 years, right? I was 2 when I read it, but I haven't read it. But we have all these other, depictions and all that of Jekyll and Hyde, all that. So I thought, I want to see what Robert Louis Stevenson actually wrote. I want to go back to that. What did he actually say about these things? And it is marvelous. It's this inner struggle that Dr. Jekyll has. At first, of course, he has a modicum of control. Very slowly, right? He sees, hey, I've got this good in me. I'm going to let this evil side out too. And very slowly, that control evaporates, and he has none until Edward Hyde completely takes over. He was trying to carry the weight of the world on his own. And we can learn from such. Can't do it. See, each of us has inside of us this capacity, these God-given gifts that give us the capacity for good and great and gracious deeds and words. We also carry within us the capacity for some that are not so good. And only lead us to lean on the one who does carry the weight of the world. That's the only way to go. I really do pray in these next 6 weeks, this time of Lent, I really do pray that for all of us, when we gather here, when we go about our devotion, our meditation, our prayer time throughout the week, that we will have a time of rest, a time of renewal, a time of refreshment, and filling up these tired spirits and wearied, empty souls. And that when we're together, we can take whatever these weights and burdens are that we're carrying and lay them at the feet of the one who said, I'll take it from you. Because that is good news. Amen.